still usually start on the back right section, but this is the hardest for most people to do. I'm just going to start this hairline process in the front, where you create your first point in the middle, and you typically create the second one on the corner. You set your both sides, and then you connect the two. Then move over to the other side and match that angle. Most people who have hairlines, you can see that it's kind of curved, because the head is kind of curved. In order to make it quote unquote straight, you need to go along with the direction that the head is shaped. If you look at the edges of the hair on the top of his hairline is mimicking the shape of his hair. It's also a really good marker to use. And then when you're doing the corners, you want to make sure that you dab it, focusing on the corner itself. His hairline doesn't allow for me to hit his eyebrows, but I usually stretch the hair, or the skin rather, to make room for the blade, so that when I'm cutting the box or the corners, I don't also hit the eyebrows. You just match that on the other side as well. Now this system allows for making sure that the hairline is completely symmetrical, and it points out a lot of mistakes very quickly. Now next thing I do is I set my point on this end and point on the each end of the curve, and using the corner of the blade in order to shape that up. Now when we did the fade, we made sure that we prepped the hairline to cause for sharper hairlines. What do I mean by that? The hairs now are stacking up at the corner, at the edge, so when we create that line, it causes for a nice crispy lineup. Now I'm just using the blade, and I'm not cutting any hairs, I'm just cutting stubble. I'm not cutting any longer hairs, I'm just following my trimmer where it was, not making any new lines. Dry skin and hair is not best for health, but it is best for cutting. So, if you want to create crisp lines, you want to make sure that you wash the hair out, removed all the oils from the hair and the skin, and provide a great surface to prep the hair for any blades, like straight blades or trimmer blades. Another tip that a lot of people use is putting spritz on the hair. It's holding spray. I didn't use any of that on him, but that allows for cleaner looks. Now, this is the mechanics of a hairline. Look at the angle that I'm placing the trimmer on the head. It's angled slightly. It's not straight down. It's angled slightly here on the side, so when you look straight on, it looks like it's moving straight down. If I were to move it straight down on the side, the curvature of the head wouldn't allow for a nice aesthetic look in the front. So if you look here and just focus on that corner area right there, focus how deep the top blade is going. Keep hitting that area with the top blade, and in order to cause for a sharper cut, I need to make sure that that first gap hits that corner every time. Just because the top blade is touching it doesn't mean it's being cut. It needs the hair needs to actually fall through the gap. That's why you'll see people going over and over in this corner in order to make sure that they're hitting that gap. And I'm focusing using my corners. You don't want to use a whole blade to try and set a corner. You don't want to use a whole blade to try and set a curve. You'll make a whole lot of work for yourself that way. Now I just wanted to show you a front hairline that was a little more messed up, And with doing that, you just have to make sure you set the lightest part. Find density. You don't want to push it all the way back. You want to just pick a middle spot where generally most of the density will be. And this is the point where I set it. Just paying attention to the corners. The more you do this, the more you'll pick a good spot to put the first line. So there's where I place my first line, and I want to balance it on both the left side and the right side. Move towards the right side because it seems like it's further back. And if I were to do the shorter side, I'd have to move it back anyway. So I moved it to the furthest. The side that's the most receding is the side that I chose in order to match that side with the side that is more dense. Now we have about a 3 on the top here. I think it's important to mention when you have hair on the top that's curly and curling up like this, to create a really sharp hairline, you have to make sure that the front hair is shorter than the 2. What this does is allow for the hairs to lay down flatly, creating stacks upon themselves to form density, instead of trying to make a super sharp hairline and push it back and create all these problems. You want to use the hair's natural ability to lay down flat. Try your best to get it to lay down flat so that you can create a perfectly you can create a dense line. If and when you're doing sideburns, you need to pay attention to the ear and see what makes a straight line from where it begins and when it ends. And you follow that same line in order to make your sideburn. And you come around the front and match that same point to create the beginning of your C cup.